Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
This is Paradise.
The mayor of Grand Isle declares a state of emergency for his paradise as we move into the teeth of the hurricane season. Hi, everybody. I'm Andre Morrow. On The State We're In, more of what's happening on Grand Isle. That's coming up. But first, stories making headlines. Louisiana Secretary of State Tom Shedler is saying no to a massive request of voter data from the Presidential Commission on Election Integrity. He describes the request as federal intrusion and overreach. The Trump administration wants access to the data as part of their investigation of alleged voter fraud. There have been many theories of Russian hacking in the 2016 presidential election. Shedler believes private information like Social Security number and mother's maiden name should be vigorously protected by states. And his response to Russian or anyone hacking?
There is no way that Russian or the Irish or the Germans or the French could hack into a voting system anywhere in the United States on Election Day because we don't vote in cyberspace.
On Friday, President Trump met with Russian President Putin and pressed him on the alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election, with both leaders agreeing not to meddle in each other's elections. New concerns of infection have Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana in intensive care again at MedStar Washington Hospital. He's listed in serious condition, but his doctors would not elaborate on how he's doing. A gunman wounded Scalise, who was House Majority Whip, back on June 14th during a baseball practice for the annual congressional game. Within hours, Scalise went into shock and needed many units of blood before 2 immediate operations. He had improved under cautious care after those initial days of surgeries, but doctors still predicted a long recovery. Just this week, a colleague and friend from Tennessee, GOP Rep. Phil Rowe, told reporters Scalise seemed to be doing better and hoped he could attend LSU's football game at Tennessee late in the season. We are certainly keeping him in our prayers. There is big news for state farmers impacted by the floods of 2016. This latest is just in from the State Ag Commissioner's office. There is federal grant money available, and we are not talking about a loan here. This to farmers in 51 of the state's 64 parishes, those who suffered losses from the disastrous floods of last year. A series of meetings are now set to look at those eligible for this money from HUD. Now, for meeting times and locations and all the info on this, you can go to ldaf.la.gov. This funding is part of $1.6 billion appropriated for Restore Louisiana. Also, the state will pay $5.4 million to the federal government. That's to settle a debt tied to former Governor Bobby Jindal and his privatization of the charity hospital system. That is far less than the $190 million the feds said the state originally owed. Officials released the information Thursday about the settlement that was reached. Louisiana leaders have been haggling over the repayment terms for the past 3 years. Grand Isle's mayor is declaring a state of emergency to get state and parish help for levee repairs on the island. Now, Mayor David Camardell says he is shaking his head about this, saying that the damage to the levee from a tropical storm that was hundreds of miles away this summer and a squall line, a simple big rainstorm last summer, said that if that kind of weather can cause the problems they're having now, just think what could happen from a major hurricane. Grand Isle, the only inhabited island off Louisiana's coast, is where Louisiana Highway 1 ends. Highway 1 stretches diagonally 432 miles across the state from northwest of Shreveport to the tip of the Gulf Coast island.
This is Paradise, and
Grand Isle Mayor David Camardell is forever worried about Paradise being lost. He has good reason. Grand Isle's fragile burrito levee system has failed tests by a tropical storm this summer, Cindy, where the storm center came nowhere near the island, and by some rain and wind a year ago.
we experienced some serious erosion on the western side of the island. And you can see the damage as it occurs. And it came up to about 1,400 feet up to here, going toward Caminada Pass. When Cindy hit, now it's an additional, you can see on the other side of the umbrella, you can see where the construction is going on. This is where it's an extra 1,700 feet.
Carmidel says massive flooding will overwhelm Grand Isle if the levee system fails. Grand Isle has been repeatedly pummeled by hurricanes throughout its history. This historical tracking map that looks like strings of spaghetti shows only major hurricane strikes, and you can see how exposed the island has been. On average, since 1877, that's a little more than every 2 years, Grand Isle feels some storm impact. A hurricane in 1909 and one in 1915 flattened the island in the fashion of Betsy in 1965 and Katrina in 2005. During the War of 1812, the Great Louisiana Hurricane, as it was called, was a major storm that struck Grand Isle and New Orleans and is said to have left some areas under 15 feet of water. The current troubled storm surge barrier, the mayor says, has crews working around the clock. He compares it to a nylon sock filled with sand, hence burrito levee. And once punctured, he says, that sand pours out like sugar.
I'm not a sand man, none of us believe in sand. For a pretty beach, yes. But inside the total levee, we got this geotube, and now the federal government's telling me I have to protect it. You know, but in the meantime, just this area here has been given trouble since the Corps had left. It was their design, they knew it had a little trouble. Now they're telling me they only can come back and protect me unless it's a Category 3. So we're going back to the drawing board, and we're going to make sure that Senator Cassidy and Senator Kennedy and Congressman Steve Scalise that make sure that we can continue pushing this.
Carmidel says the system needs another $2 million in state and parish money, and that's just for an instant, not long-term fix.
Now this is just a patch job. The rocks need to go in the Gulf. So you look what the Corps done. I'm not here to cut the Corps. The Corps done put rocks on the backside of the island. You Google and you'll see that the rocks in the Gulf, whenever it gets rough, it builds sand in the backside. Work with Mother Nature, don't fight Mother Nature.
A longer-term solution will need money from the feds, and the mayor says he will keep fighting to keep Grand Isle going.
As long as we're here, the residents of Grand Isle, and even the friends of Grand Isle, the people from all over, they enjoy the island. As long as there's one grain of sand to plant the American flag, I can promise you we're not going nowhere.
Well, the numbers are increasing. The numbers of grandparents raising their grandchildren in Louisiana. About 15% of all children in the state, that's about 160,000 kids under the age of 18, live in homes headed by grandparents or other relatives. 12% of those children live with their grandparents. Now, those grandparents are responsible for them. We met with one who has taken that responsibility full on.
Green. Oh yeah, what color? No, come here.
This is Mrs. Frances Kane, and these are her children. "We are blessed" is a sign not only spelled out when you walk into their Baton Rouge home, but it's something you can sense. You can sense the love that abounds inside this home. Now, Mrs. Frances is biologically grandmother to this crew, but when circumstances with their parents meant they could be split up as a family, she stepped in. She wanted them and wouldn't let the state take custody.
You know, your whole life is involved with the kids. And I've actually had Jamal since he was 6 months, Trayvon was 1, and she's made 1, and Tamari is 9. And I do have another great-grandbaby. She's at a daycare. She has some challenges, and they're really helping her, so she had to go to school today.
It is different, her spending this part of her life doing what she's doing.
65 years old, there are a lot of challenges that I never thought I would face. It's like I can't really go anywhere because I have a bunch of kids. And my life really is at home. I don't bowl. I used to bowl, And there's a lot of things I used to do, but with the kids, I had to kind of bag off, but I enjoy my time with them. I feel very lucky because they're not bad kids. They're well behaved. They do mess up, it's normal, but in the end, they'll come back and they'll hug me. Plenty of love, and I feel very appreciated.
She is their rock. She's their protector. And as mother, she is their teacher.
We sit down and I'll be honest and I let them know consequences behind the bad things you do. And if we see it on TV, we talk about it and just try to teach them that, you know, you have choices in life. And you have to make a good choice, because if you make a bad choice, you would have to suffer the consequences. And a lot of times, there's nothing I can do or anyone because of the choices they make.
Mrs. Francis is quick to tell you she is not alone in this adventure.
The Grandparents Raising Grandkids. It's a very, very great organization. And I was introduced to it from the Head Start. You may think you have bad stories, but you listen to some of the other ones, and we always are there to share with each other. And Ms. Dot is one call away, and she's always trying to make it work.
With me right now are the founders of Grandparents Raising Grandchildren, Dot Thibodeau and Dana Spade. So happy to have you here. And I have to ask you first, how did this organization begin?
Okay, this
That's a long story, huh?
It's a long story. It started when I got my 12-and-a-half-year-old grandson, and I started looking for resources. I thought I was the only one who ended up in this situation.
So you were a grandparent raising your grandchild?
Yes,
Okay.
my grandson. I
That's your
sure
grandson.
did. Started looking around. There was absolutely nothing in the state of Louisiana.
Wow.
So I met the director of the Council on Aging and told her my story. And she said, call me after the holidays. So I did. She put me in contact with Dana. Together, we put our heads together, put a little article in the paper, had a support group, and here we are.
And that was back in 1993?
1993.
Yeah, February 1993.
1993. A little article in the paper. And you
Little
said
teeny
that
weeny.
first meeting, people showed up.
They did.
That's right.
And that surprised you,
That
huh?
surprised me because I didn't know
We had
there
no
were that
idea.
many out there.
There are a lot of statistics, a lot of numbers.
A
that
lot
we've
of
seen.
numbers.
You're a social worker by trade and great organizational skills. And you have been, both of you, you've come well equipped to do this job. And what is the number one thing that you find yourselves being a resource seeker for grandparents? Helping them with?
That's a good question. I think custody is one of the biggest issues that's faced by grandparents. They don't have legal custody in most cases, and in order to get some benefits for the children, they need legal custody. But getting legal custody can be very expensive, and
You
can
get
be
lawyers
you
and
get
court
lawyers. You have
time,
to
et
sue your
cetera.
own children. You spend a lot of money, and you have no guarantee that you'll get custody of the children when you go through all of this,
So-
even though it would be the best thing for them.
Right, but the point here, even more so, is to be the parent.
Right,
It's for the grandparents to be
right.
the parent in this case, not just to have custody, I
Right.
suppose. So most people don't necessarily have custody, but they
No.
certainly have the responsibility,
They
don't
do.
they?
Yes.
Because you have to put them in school, you have to take them to the doctor, and they do want a driver's license
course.
eventually.
And cars.
And cars.
Well, in that piece, we saw Miss Francis. What a sweetheart, huh?
Yes.
You could see the love. One thing that struck me about that is that you could see the children interact, playing with each other, being there for
Yeah.
each other, knowing one another. If they'd been split up in the foster system, that wouldn't be the
happen.
case.
No,
that
You'd
wouldn't
never see
happen.
that, would
That
you?
would not have happened. Right.
Family Road of Greater Baton Rouge is a tremendous resource for you all.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Okay, we meet there once a month. We have a support group meeting on the
support
fourth
group, okay.
Thursday of
It's
each
called
month.
Second Time Around.
10
Second time
o'clock.
around, okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
And they've provided space for us through the years and been a very great resource. So we invite you to come to the support group meeting where you will find people in your situation, and together you can bond, and it's a support. It's what it is.
Do you find yourselves still meeting people who are not aware that you all are here?
We're the best kept secret in the
Really?
state.
Well, let's get the word out, because there are hundreds of thousands of kids involved.
Louisiana has the third highest rate in the nation of children not living with their parents.
Absolutely.
And most of the time it has to do with addictions and drug abuse.
Yep.
Right.
Alcohol and drugs.
And that is what is the separator.
That's it.
Often, then the grandparents can step in if they can. But Miss Frances, she's 65 years old.
I know.
And look at the baby she has.
I know.
Look at the babies.
And they most of them have more than one.
Right.
Yep.
And we even have great-grandparents who are doing this now, too, not just grandparents.
Great-grandparents?
Yes.
Wow, okay, so that's
We have some in the group.
generational.
Yeah.
How many people go to your meetings typically? The support group
The
meetings?
support
She's
group
the one who
meeting,
runs it.
we can go anywhere from 15 to 30, depends.
And that's just right here in this area.
It's
but
right here in this area.
statewide, certain metropolitan areas have more numbers than others.
Well, we
Right.
don't have many support groups statewide. We'd like to get some more started. We've had some who lasted for a while and they just kind of fizzled out. So we're trying to get some more started around the state.
It's interesting, as you look back at your life, Miss Frances said this is not what she
That's
expected
not
to
what
be
I
doing.
planned.
And what about yourself?
No,
what about
that's
you?
not what I planned, but he changed my whole life. He really, really
In which
did.
ways? In which ways?
He made me more aware of things that you take for granted. Like if he has a problem, listen. Please listen. They're human beings. He did change my life a whole lot.
It seems like in a really great way.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can see you light up
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
when you
Yeah.
say that.
And Travis has how many?
He has
Yes.
3 little boys
Little
now.
boys.
He's married, has
Oh,
a
okay,
lovely
okay.
little wife, and they're doing really great.
Boy, that makes you proud,
Oh,
huh?
yeah. Oh,
Makes you
absolutely.
very
She does
excited.
a lot of work interacting with those great-grandchildren.
Yes.
My great-grandchild is in Oregon, so I don't get to see him real often.
Well,
Not
I'm lucky to
enough,
have
huh?
mine.
Are there other resources? Is there money available
No.
for
No.
the grandparents?
No money.
Okay, that's resounding.
No money.
Yes, absolutely not.
We do put on a grant.
Where would it
great-
come from if there was money?
Grants.
Grants.
But there's just
Grants.
not enough.
No.
No.
We put on an annual conference and we get a grant from from the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund. And we're having quarterly legal workshops that are free to the grandparents to answer their legal questions. And the funding from that comes from the Wilson, Huey and Angelina Wilson Foundation. And that's about it for our organization. And that the grandparents, there are very few financial resources for them.
Right.
Unless you have gone through the custody
Custody,
and
right.
won custody, I
Yes,
guess. Won
right.
that.
There's one program they can get for a year while they're attempting to get custody, but after a year it's cut off if they don't get custody.
But that doesn't sound like a lot.
It's
One
not.
program for a year.
It's not.
Well, there's so much more to learn and spread the word about you guys, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
thank
It's
you for
really
having the opportunity.
A pleasure to bring it to light as much as we can. I know you guys are active.
Just give us a
So
call.
active.
Come to the support group meetings.
Come
Thank
to
you.
our annual meeting,
All right.
our annual conference.
Love to. Dana, thank you so much
Oh,
for being here.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it. You know, LPB has a long history of supporting grandparents raising grandchildren. A grant from the Barbara Bush Foundation supported LPB's work at the Grandparents' House in Baton Rouge to provide a computer lab and also training to help grandparents with life skills and parenting, which they usually do have. But you can find more information about this resource at lagrg.org. That's their logo right there. You know, we may be regaining some of what gave us the nickname Hollywood South when Louisiana became a boom state of movie making with tax credits issued. The credit program now continues, but with a cap. And it seems, though, now in the second half of this fiscal year, there is an uptick in movie work being made in the state. A film done locally is also getting buzz, adding the Breckenridge Film Fest to its list of accolades. I sat down with 2 of the stars of Last Light. It's directed by Jency Griffin Hogan.
How long did they give you?
For what?
The top drawers are empty. I don't have enough things.
Sam Fisicaro and Jean Calderera did not know each other when they began production, playing the adult leads in this raw drama. But they developed a chemistry quickly, and their film, Last Light, won Best Short Film at the Louisiana International Film Festival.
That was the goal. It's crazy. And then we kind of rocked it. Did I show myself?
Fisicaro is also executive producer. It's the story of a daughter who returns home on the verge of her mother's death. She wants to shed some light on her dark past amidst the wreckage collected over 20 years.
You asked me when you were younger, did your dad ever take pictures of me? Of course he did. Lots. But the best picture he ever took of me, I looked like a complete fool.
It's a story of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right?
The whole purpose was to tell a story of not just forgiveness, but undeserved forgiveness. Everybody's got a brush with. You've been wronged before. We've all been wronged before. We've all had whoever is wronging us, whether it's a relative or a close friend or some jerk we don't know, be unapologetic about it. To be able to forgive whenever it's not even being asked of you, will you please forgive me? There's freedom in that, and it's a notion that I think changes lives.
Of course, if you don't grow up in a house that looked like that, or with a mother that acted like me, or whatever, there are parts of it that everybody can relate to.
The human landscape speaks. You look at their faces and you feel they're saying something.
Everybody has at least one story that the whole world needs to hear. You ready?
Go!
Could this be something big?
Music is life.
I love this. I want to see more of it.
Woo! And you know what? You can't beat me. That's powerful.
I love it.
I will fling myself into the unknown.
All right, you see it right there, the PBS Online Film Festival. It premieres on July 17th with voting on the films continuing through July 28th. You can go to pbs.org/film festival and view the entries and vote on your favorite films. They also tell you kind of a care package to do as you vote on those films. And next week, we're going to take a look at the second Louisiana film. It's the film Sigh that is up on the PBS system. If you love fresh flowers, I've got a place for you to go this weekend. The annual Baton Rouge Orchid Society show and sale. It is Saturday and Sunday at the Burden Conference Center on Essen Lane in Baton Rouge. You can check out their website. It's right there for more information on this event. It's this weekend, the 8th and 9th. We're in the middle of summer now, and there are many beautiful places to visit around the state of Louisiana, even for a daycation getaway. Now on Louisiana Postcard, we take you to the woodlands around St. Francisville and West Feliciana Parish. This video essay is by LPB's Rex Q. Fortenberry. Rexby, thank you so much for that beautiful piece. It certainly makes you want to go there, doesn't it? Well, there's more info at lpb.org on Louisiana postcard locations. And that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand. It's on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store, and you can also catch LPB news and public affairs shows as well as other Louisiana programs that you have come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and visit lpb.org, where you can view more stories and leave us a comment. This program is available on DVD. Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.